slow. Likstein, Slorgneist, tillbringas, rising eld.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome back to Kaldvann here on my channel. Happy Sunday, October 3rd to all of you. Hope you all are doing well out there. Hope you all are just having a relatively good day, good weekend. Yeah, I just need to kind of get my head out of the gutter today, and just figured maybe it'd be good to come on and do a live stream. I was already going to do this anyways. I got frustrated at my NASCAR game again, so I figured I'd just come on here and do a live stream. So we are here still outside the Trondheim Lufthavn, or the Sentrum Lufthavn, just quickly becoming more and more pieced together as I slowly move forward. We're here at the end of runway 36, which looks towards the respective towns of Rosenborg and Trondheim. Even though this is all pretty much the same. I am wondering something, is that church steeple taller than that church steeple? Because that's going to be a problem, in my opinion. So we're going to go take a look at that real quick. So let me see real quick. I never actually intended for that to be a thing. I kind of wanted the church over in Trondheim to be larger. I think maybe it's just up on a different elevation, so it might be appearing as larger. It's close. It's very close. The church over here does indeed have this one beat. I will see though real quick. Now, what's this at? This is at 21, whereas over here this is at 20.97. So actually that church up there is taller without any issue. So anyways, so we're over here. My cat is on my desk staring out the window intensively. There's birds in the bush. He's see birds. What are you staring at then? What are you looking at, buddy? What do you see? Yeah? Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Yeah. I don't think you guys can hear him at all meowing, but... Oh, there's a bird in the bush. Okay. Yeah, so this is quickly becoming more and more pieced together. I've kind of got the general area of the airport laid out. I'm going to turn the draw distance down so I can more show you guys. We'll go ahead and turn that down. The city has disappeared. So I've been slowly putting this all together. So here we have the kind of private jet area, general aviation. This is kind of loosely based off of what I do for work. Hey, Jeff. So this is loosely inspired off of where I work at, and so on and so forth. So, you know, private jets come in here, and other GA aircraft can park back here. There's kind of a general parking lot up here for people to watch aircraft and whatnot, as well as just people who need to park close to the airport or these office buildings back here. This is kind of the airport administration building. Yeah, so there'll be kind of just some general admin stuff going on back here. And then this is the general layout of the airport. So this here is the entrance area. You have arrivals / departures. This area would, I mean, arrivals, departures, really the same thing. I think this area would be for probably arrivals. Arrivals would probably cross the street and end up over here. This could also be for taxis and buses and such, and then just general public can come through here. This is all one way though. And then pretty much the area back in here is just going to be pretty much a parking lot. I don't think it's going to be too huge. Probably stretch from about here over to here. And this area right here, I could probably just put like a building in, such like that. Of course, we have some of the larger buildings in this area, the Radisson Hotel, as well as this building, just an office building and such. Could serve as a different hotel, but I have the highway coming through, and I did change this because I think in the last live stream I was building the on and off ramp. I forget specifically, but I changed this. The rail line is now elevated through here. It will get an elevated rail station probably about here. I'll put in a small elevated station for the commuter line. And yeah, so just the general street layout. The entrance is over here, so this is a two-way street down here, and then it turns into a one-way over here. The street here, I would believe, would be two-way. There would be some two-way traffic. Now if we go around the airport, over here we have the control tower. This would be the small parking lot for the control tower, and maybe just general stuff going on at the hangar for the maintenance department. We'll have the small airport fuel farm back here, as well as the vehicle fuel pumps, which I'll put in, maybe just some additional tanks for other things. And then we have the airport service road, which moves along the perimeter of the runway. Comes around, and then over here we see an additional road which leads to the cargo ramp, which will be a FedEx facility. We have their fuel tanks for the respective aircraft, because additionally, larger aircraft can park over here, like C-130s, L-188s, and /P-3 Orions, as Kaldvann does sometimes have to deal with wildfires, so there are some aircraft that will come in to deal with that, respectively the Canadian Air Force, Royal Canadian Air Force, or is it Royal Canadian? Yeah, RCAF? Yeah, I think it's the Royal Canadian Air Force. They'll come in, Royal Air Force, U.S. Air Force, the French Air Force, so on and so forth, other NATO countries as well. Gets aircraft like C-130s in here, as well as possibly some fighter jets. Runway's only about 5,000 some odd feet and change, so can't really get too large aircraft. And of course FedEx will park over here. They operate a series of yeah, over here making the most realistic trains airport game. Yep, pretty much. But over here we have a FedEx ATR, a little propeller plane that will park over here. But still, we gotta kind of figure out how to detail this area, get buildings in that will kind of sit alongside the airport. What exactly will go here? Probably thinking a hotel of some sort, and then trying to get the general lay of the land finished up, drag the highway to connect with the bridge, rail line out, get the station going, and then back pretty much through here is just going to be residential, which might be a little bothersome considering the airport and turboprops and private jets tend to be pretty noisy, but like living anywhere, it just becomes second nature. It'll mostly be trees and just sparse residential through here. Alternatively, I have considered taking this arena, which I have set up over here, and moving it to be... whoa, please count us up loud. Turn that down. Moving that over toward this way, which would then reduce the need for this larger avenue to be here, which wouldn't make entirely a lot of sense. One thing I have to do is connect this road up to this area, which is going to be a bit of a challenge, and I don't know if I am going to connect it to here. There might be a off and on ramp, because, well, the highway ends right over here, so if you want to go over there, you can just use the surface roads. So there might be a on and off ramp, off for what's that, northbound, and on for off ramp for the northbound side and on ramp for the southbound side. Logan, everyone's would it be feasible to have a tram type system that connects the train station to the concourse? You just use a bus. Hey, Logan. So actually, it wouldn't be needed because this terminal has 3 gates, and they only service aircraft of this size, or just slightly larger. This is the smaller of the 2 airports. The larger airport, which I need to go back and figure out, this was Kaldvann's response to outgrowing its current airport, or the Sentrum airport. This is the Trondheim International Airport, with much larger. It has the commuter rail service, which connects into all parts of the island. At this point, you would just take a bus over to the terminal. There are, I assume, would be an underground pathway, like there are many airports, that connects to the terminal. Yeah, so this is the larger airport. I wonder if I can see that mountain if I turn up the render distance real quick. Oh, it's dying. Give it a second. Ah, yeah, that'll be pretty. Beautiful terrain all through here. It is on a peninsula. I do have to figure out this area because I need to figure out where I'm putting my actual harbor. I would kind of figured I'd go over here, but I don't know what I'm going to do yet, because here's the rail line passes right through here, and I have to figure out how I'm going to do a container port of some type, because I've never built a container port. But this runway is much larger, as you can kind of tell. I think it's about 9,000 feet long, so it can accommodate pretty much any aircraft at that point, whereas this is much smaller. It's about half the size of that runway. So we have to be very careful. But anyways, so we're going to just jump in and start building. I was working a bit with the buildings here. I do want to get some foliage placed in, and one thing that I want to do before I get off tonight is I want to get the area kind of lit up with lights in some capacity, because that's one thing I've been neglecting in a lot of my builds. So far anyways, is I don't place down street lights. I mean, I have in some areas. I just keep forgetting to go back, and then I keep expanding and expanding and expanding, and then I forget to actually place down street lamps. So one thing that I'm looking for right now is kind of high density residential, as well as more medium density residential, along with the shops put down at the bottom. And these buildings in particular, though they might not look potentially the greatest, do fit the bill. I have used these buildings in other areas, but I still think that regardless, they fit the bill quite well of what I'm trying to achieve here. So I'm not too concerned about that matter. It's just trying to use these buildings in such a way that you don't notice that they were used before. And if you do, they're sparsely used, or reused in a lot of the areas. So it's kind of blending a lot of these buildings in. But again, it's just trying to find the correct kind of building style. It's kind of nice. Can use that somewhere. Probably on the other side of the road. Actually, kind of nice. Take care of a little bit of the density, although it curves, and I don't like that. I liked it until I didn't. Oh, there's more. Oh. Wow. Also kind of curves in a weird way. Can I just find like a straight line of buildings, please? Thank you. Nobody? Nobody? Anybody? Somebody? I mean, alternatively, I can go along and use buildings like Dish along the other side. Thin buildings that, can serve the purpose pretty well. and relatively blend in. I think I'll go ahead and focus on the bigger buildings over here on this side. So, like I said, one thing that I've definitely complained about a lot is attempting to find buildings that fit what I need moderately well, which is always something that has become an issue the more I push out. Is you know, this area is still relatively older, but I assume it, you know, kind of became, nah, gay buildings only. Okay, gay buildings. What are you? Sir Finsel. Don't know what that is, but I feel like I need it somewhere. Get out. How does it fit? No, it does not. But it does fit along this big block, which will help in some capacity, I suppose. Actually, wait, does it fit? Oh. Could fit over here. He said. Yeah, and I've been using a lot of the EU, like UK and German style buildings. I guess like German style would be relatively close to like Scandinavian. You know, the building style is all there. Like the older buildings, maybe not so much, because you know Scandinavian and other countries kind of did have their own design, but it's still kind of European feeling enough to where I can kind of get away with it. Kind of curves. It's not actually placed along legitimate grid system, so I can have to figure out the rotation. There we go. So that kind of buildings like this that I enjoy, just because they are able to fill in a large area relatively quickly. And then I can actually take this building and put it right here against the rail line. So that can help me out there. I think this building suffers from the same issue. One thing I have to keep in mind is sidewalks over here. Now, on the other side of the road, we'll have the wider sidewalks. But on this side of the road, the sidewalks will be narrower just because we're not really granted with a lot of real estate space. So we'll go ahead and grab a thinner. I shall look for buildings. If you could, Mal, because I've searched, and I have a lot of different buildings that I have been using. It's just, as I continue to expand outward, I find that I am running low on usable buildings that I haven't used before. So there we go. And I'm not too concerned with the train tracks being right outside here, even if there are F40s going by, just because where my sister lives and such, you know, she has the New York elevated rail right outside her window. It's noisy, but it is, you know, you're kind of really in a shitty location. You're near the airport and you're next to a rail line, which is next to a highway. Like, you aren't in a quiet area. This is kind of the, thank you. This is kind of the cheaper kind of income area where, you know, maybe people starting out would kind of live, because, you know, you don't really have a lot of quiet spaces, particularly. This is a very busy area, but, you know, Everywhere's gotta have a place like that, I suppose. So the area wouldn't be considered like projects, but it definitely wouldn't have, you know, high rent prices, just because again you're faced with the challenges of, like, you know, all right, there's a rail line outside my window, there's an airport like almost in my backyard or in my front yard, whichever yard, all the yards. So just, you know, this is very quiet, which alternatively there could be you know, some form of university nearby as well, you know, for, you know, which would kind of help out students, you know, because currently the only university in town is all the way over here, which isn't far, and considering there would be a rail station right there, wouldn't be too bad. But I'm thinking there would be a secondary, smaller university somewhere in this general region, potentially, you know, in some of the spaces nearby the airport, and/or on the other side of the road up against the river. And this would kind of be some of these student housing areas, which is actually something I could possibly jump into. I could move this hotel and maybe put a small technical university campus in here. Do you want a whole ass town? Potentially. Alright, Michael. So I think I'll go ahead and move the Radisson's hotel. I'll have that closer to the actual airport road itself. Possibly push that back over here so it's close. I'll probably put like a smaller parking garage here. I know I've definitely used that somewhere, and there is no night lights to it. I know I've used that. Just gonna give me 1 second. Just gonna download something from. Actually, no, fuck it. I'm just gonna go ahead. I don't have Discord open. What kind of lunacy is this? It says he reopens trains. So I think this will suffice for a parking garage. No, I don't really want this parking garage. That is too big. I know I've definitely used that. That was downtown Trondheim. That's a little big. Like, no good parking garages in this game. Which also, like, why would there be? But alright, so I think we're gonna have to use this. This will be fine. So I'm actually gonna push this back to be along here. There'll be a small kind of regular parking lot outside, and this building will sit kind of along here. I've definitely used this in places, but again, it just really isn't a whole lot of go to content. My folder will take forever to download. Oh, something that I do have to show off real quick. Not let's see here. Carabas related. Ah. Oh. Just had it. Where'd it go? I'll just load. The barns have arrived. And look at them. Look at this. Like, I still am depressed, but how could I be depressed at this rate? Like, oh. This is hot. This is beautiful. It is gorgeous. Look at these units. Everything. Watch Papa Gut. Oopsie all day. Yeah, I've been watching a bit of Papa Gut myself all day. I was watching one of his more recent streams, and I decided I was sitting there. I'm like, all right, I gotta do something myself. Let me see. E.T. That's what it was named. Yeah, E.T. Bahnhof. Oh shit! It's a whole ass town. That was correct. Oh, it's my cat too. Hello. Oh, this could help out. Where can I put this though? Toby, you are still a cat. Yes. Hello. Alright, so I'm gonna actually take you. This is actually beautiful. I can work with this. I'm probably gonna take this more back this way, per se, just because it's a little wider than I wanted. And it could sit toward this way. Although I'd have to work out like street layouts and stuff. So we will figure out a place for this, because this is exactly what I need. Where to put it, though, is the question. I will figure that out, but that works perfectly now. Thank you. Carabasset live stream? I'm not sure when I'll do the next Carabasset live stream. Kind of really haven't gotten that far with it. I could do a running session again, I suppose, but I don't know. I just really haven't gotten that far yet, so I don't actually kind of know when I'll do that. I'll use a small medical center over here too, because all the medical centers are kind of crammed downtown Trondheim. Alright, so now we're starting to get a little density feel to this area. This is kind of like the downtown area of this portion, which actually I don't know this neighborhood's name, because that's Oya and Singsaker. This area I don't actually know what its name is. I don't think I've actually named this area yet. Yeah, I don't think it has a name. Let me take a look here. See if I have anything jotted down on a map. Because a lot of the town names that I have are just actual districts of Trondheim, because again, I'm an original motherfucker. Yeah, I don't actually think I named this area. Ah, Sorgenfri. Alright, so I did name it. So this is Sorgenfri, which is apparently, if I recall correctly, that's another district of Trondheim. Yeah, that's another district of Trondheim. Okay, so, but yes, this is Sorgenfri. So this sits right here at the Lufthavn. So that'll work out pretty well. Let me see now. I'm just trying to get some more thin buildings along here. Probably at least one more. No, it's gonna be too wide. I do like it. You're going in over. You'll probably go in over here. Somewhere. You'll go somewhere. I know that. You're gonna go do something, and you'll be there, and you'll enjoy it. Wherever that happens to be. Shopping. Alright, so we'll do that. Now, one thing I said I need to consider here very shortly is services are going down. Following Nikocado, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Nikocado avocado. Ugh. That dude is killing himself. For views. Always for views. I could have used this building over in, let's see, did I use this over here in, Rosenborg? Been a minute since I've been over here. I think I wanted to... I don't think I ended up doing it. No, I did not. Like I said, you can see some of the... I think I, yeah, plopped down that building over there, but, you know, just trying to blend it in. There's only so much in the limitations of trains. So this will be fine. It's gonna die soon. I think reviews, huh? Yeah, I mean, I don't get the whole notion from some of these YouTubers of doing things for views. Like, I know you gotta keep your channel fresh and exciting, which I don't think is something I've done a very good job at. But then again, I'm not really here for the views. I'm just here to make live streams, and if people watch, great. And if people don't, then cool. Like, big whoop. Need like a billboard here. Let me see. Let's see here. Let's put one of these. Actually, put a Hyundai billboard. Advertisements are not completely banned from this country, but they have to go in places that make sense. I don't like highway side billboards, although I do have to admit, you do know when you're in Indiana. You see billboards that just say, "You're going to hell," and it's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm going to hell. Well, how do you know that? Well, the billboard in Indiana on the side of I-70 told me I was. Like, I feel like it's a very Midwestern thing and a very big Indiana thing. There we go. Oh, but it's not centered. Oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. Hold on. I gotta set that up. Give me 1 second. There we go. Looking right at the airport. That would be a pretty lucrative billboard. Jaden, you gonna go see Scott? Well, I haven't heard anything about going down if he needs anything, and cause I told him if like he could use the help, I'll go down and give him a hand. If he doesn't, I'll stay put. And I sent him a text message saying that, hey, I got the time off, and he said he'd touch base with me. We never touched base. I suppose I could reach out to him, but at this point, I'm probably going to end up staying home. Because something actually that good that's happened, I soloed an airplane yesterday. I flew an airplane by myself for the second time. Well, actually third time, because I've done it twice already. But for the first time in a very long time, at least since I was 16, I soloed an aircraft by myself. I did, would have been 5 takeoffs, 5 landings, I believe? 5 takeoffs. Because I took off once, did a touch and go. So I did 4 touch and goes, so it'd actually be 5 takeoffs, 4 landings. So I feel like you always have more takeoffs than you do landings. I forget exactly. But I flew by myself, and I also got to on my day off, I flew to my work. I flew up to the Portland Jetport, had to talk to Tower. Well, actually, I had to talk to all the frequencies, which was fun. Because I don't talk to air traffic control often, if at all. And it's actually something that I've been a little nervous about for a long time because it's something that I don't do. And it's also something that is, like, you have to pay very close attention to what the controllers are saying. And, you know, there's just a lot to it. Yeah, you know, you can just, you know, barrel rolls, you know, permission to buzz the tower, all that kind of stuff. But no, my stepdad walked me through it, and because the last time I talked to air traffic control, which was back, I believe, in I think it was sometime last year, when I switched frequencies, there's something that they're trying to stop out of the mindset of pilots, and it's when pilots switch frequencies and they come to a new one and they go, and whatever they're talking to, like, and Boston approach, good afternoon, this is, you know, United 443. The and needs to stop, and my stepdad was very adamant about that, because when I was done talking to the controller, he's like, knock that and shit off right now. Like, what? He's like, do not let me catch you saying and again. You will not say that. That is a bad habit that pilots pick up, and you're not going to do that. I'm like, 10-4. So it kind of made me a little nervous to talk to them again, but I think I did pretty well. I mean, he said I did very well. And when I called him up, I did everything correctly. You know, I got my clearance, you know, which I've never gotten clearance to leave the airport for, because when I landed and I taxied over to my work, I got marshaled by my coworkers, which was fun. So I got first time getting marshaled. Which is always interesting. Landings are actually pretty easy. It's just getting a soft landing, which I took a pretty interesting video perspective, which I wonder if I could show to you guys. Because I took it from the cockpit panel looking back at me. I had set my phone up before I had taken off on my solo to record me in. It's a little hard to hear me, but you can hear every now and again things I'm saying. But it's an interesting perspective, because I didn't realize, like, how much my eyes move when I'm, you know, looking around. Pilots' ands and uhs are making what they are. Yeah, the is something that most pilots do. That's just kind of a thing. But, like, there's no need to say and. It's just it's an unnecessary word, I think, as it's put, and you need to reduce the amount of words that you use when you're speaking on the frequency. Western draw accent too. Yeah, no, I was trying my hardest not to let, because it's actually very confusing, because when you're not talking to like a controlled frequency. Hold on. I guess there's training tomorrow at the Saco Fire Department, according to the frequency. But when you're, like, at a general aviation airport that doesn't have a tower, many airports share the same frequency, which, you know, not uncommon. That's something that I've, you know, always encountered. But it's a little confusing because, oh wait, is this building on a slope? It is on a slope. Crap. That kind of is frustrating. Should be okay. Okay, so it's just the corner over here that I have to kind of deal with and fix. That's annoying. That's probably why I didn't end up using this building. Crap. Alright, so I might end up using a different one. I know I've used that before. I don't care for it. Like, It's not a bad building, it's just not one I kind of want to use over here. So when you're on the frequency, it's sometimes a little hard to determine what airport someone is talking to, because you know, there's many towns in Mind State that end with the word Ford, Sanford, Biddeford, Oxford, you know, and when you're saying it with a thick accent, it's Oxford, Biddeford, Sanford, you know, and some people's radios aren't very clear. So sometimes you might just catch the Bidford, Sanford, Oxford, and it's like, which one? So you have to be very clear and concise. So on the frequency, I have to make sure that I'm saying Biddeford, Oxford, Sanford. You know, making sure you're very clear and concise. You always start, you know, like when I'm flying, like when I was doing my solo, and I'm making my announcements, like, you know, when I was taxiing to the runway, because there's no taxiways, it's just you have to be on the runway to get to either end. You know, it's Biddeford traffic, Tampico, 61 Delta's back taxiing runway 24, Biddeford. Always start and end the transmission with the airport you're at. Now, previously, something that was a common practice now that they're trying to get rid of, which I'm not sure how I feel about, but it is what it is that I always used to say, any traffic in the pattern, please advise, Biddeford, or whatever airport I was at that doesn't have a tower. But unfortunately to the FAA, that in their minds promotes unnecessary radio traffic, particularly from other pilots. Got any place's name? Yeah, Worcester, Mass. Although I think it's all just Worcester. I think it's just a common known fact. I think I'm just gonna end up keeping this building. I'll just work out something in the back. I don't know. I just kind of feel like the building's leaning. Oh yeah, that's hardcore leaning. Oh yeah, that's sloped. Like if we... Oh yeah, that building is sloped. That is horrible. I gotta get rid of it. Oh god, that was horrible. I guess this could work. It's smaller, but yeah, it could work. You don't need tall buildings. And I can bring it in closer to the road. So let me do something in the back. You know, so in their eyes, it promoted unnecessary radio traffic, so they stopped that. So you have to always start and end with the airport you're at, just so that way people can hear you, because someone might change frequency, and the last thing they hear is, you know, you repeating, you know, the airport you're at, Biddeford. You know, and they're like, oh, I'm flying into Biddeford, what's going on over there? You know, last aircraft on frequency, say again. Ayrshire to Llandudno? Ayrshire to Llandudno. I know, I feel like I got the first one correct. It's the second one that I feel like I am horribly butchering. But it was interesting talking to Portland, because I can't obviously enter their airspace until they give me the approval, so I have to call them up and bear with me, because I also want to make sure I have this correct, but I'll take you guys through it. So I got to call them up, and when I call them up, I got to give them my whole call sign. You know, so my call sign is Tampico. That's the kind of aircraft I'm flying. 2816 Delta, so it's 16 Delta. I'm sorry, 2816 Delta. So it'd be Portland approach, Tampico 2816 Delta. Tampico 2816 Delta, Portland approach, good. After he says go ahead, or they come back acknowledging that I'm calling them, I can shorten my call sign up to the last 3 digits. Uh, Tampico 16 Delta, Portland approach, 12 miles to the south, 1,500, direct to Portland with information Quebec. And what that second part means is that I listen to the weather frequency. I got the weather, and every hour or so they change it, and then it gets a different letter when they update it. So, you know, information Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot, whatever, goes all the way up to Zulu, then it resets. So I had listened and I had gotten information Quebec. So I have to let him know who I am, where I am, what I want, and what I have. So he'll come back and just say, you know, Tampico 16 Delta Squawk 0535, which is my identifier on the aircraft that I can change so he can see me on his radar. Because when I'm just flying around by myself, in untowered airspace, I'm just squawking VFR, visual flight rules, which is set to 1200. So in order just to kind of make sure he gives me a special code, so I can punch it in, because it goes from digits of 0 to 7. So I put it in the transponder, and you know he'll go Tampico 16 Delta radar contact, 12 miles south of Portland, the Portland Jetport. I believe he said, yeah, 12 miles south of the Portland Jetport. Expect right downwind for runway 29 Portland. Expecting right downwind for runway 29 Tampico 16 Delta. So now I can proceed into his airspace. I can start proceeding to the northwest into his airspace, and I can start heading direct to Portland. He didn't give me any specific instructions of any headings or altitudes to maintain. If he did, he would say, climb, maintain, or descend and maintain, you know, a certain altitude. Turn left heading to this heading, but he didn't, clear to the Portland Jetport, expect right base for runway 29, so he's just cleared me direct so I can make the necessary turns that I need to. And as I got closer, Tampico 16 Delta, gave me number 2 behind a beach sundowner, contact tower 120.9er, and have a good day. Roger, will be cleared to land number 2 behind a beach sundowner, contact tower on 120.9, 16 Delta, thank you. Switch over, and then I had to start the whole thing all over again. Oh god, that one. I've only seen that video where that weatherman pronounced it, and I never in my life hope I have to say that for any particular reason. I know it's like something 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 go go go. That's all I know from that. A few hundred hits on X-Men 11 is the extent of my plane and ATC knowledge. Yeah, and I mean that can kind of help you a little bit. You know, years of flight simming has kind of helped me get some general knowledge of, air traffic controlling. But it's nowhere compared to the real thing, obviously, because now you're actually up there, flying around, you're in the aircraft, if anything goes wrong, like, you're playing with the real deal. But it was very cool to do that. And it was also cool, when to fly into my work and get it from a different perspective. It also was kind of funny in my mind, because when we were leaving, so I had to call for go go gosh, I don't fucking know, a word I can't say. But when we were leaving, and I had, because I needed to get departure to the airport I was flying to, so I called up Portland clearance. Portland clearance, Tampico 2816 Delta. Tampico 16 Delta clearance. Go ahead. Clearance or Tampico 16 Delta is on the northeast ramp, VFR to Sanford 1500, requesting departure. And it took him a long time to get back to me, because he's gonna, put in all my information and just kind of give me a basic kind of, not a flight plan, but he's just getting my information together, and then he's gonna send me on my way. And it took him a long time, and my stepdad goes, he doesn't know what kind of aircraft we're flying in. I look at my stepdad, I'm like, what? He's like, he doesn't know our aircraft. I'm like, how do you know that? And he's like, because he's taking a damn long time to get back to us. The guy comes back on the radio, he goes, 1-6 Delta, what's your aircraft? Yeah, we're flying in a Cicada Tampico. Say again? We're in a Cicada TB9 Tampico. And it took a lot longer. And I don't ever think at any point in time this guy knew what aircraft we were actually in. Yeah, Wales is a very interesting place for names. I don't know if they were smoking a lot of crack or something when they invented their language. I'm not sure, but their language is, the way they name towns is definitely unique. But eventually, he figured out what aircraft we were in. We were able to get our clearance, taxied out, and took off. And it was fun. You know, I said really don't ever talk to air traffic control, so it was a interesting new experience for me. That I was happy to find out that I did correctly. That spawned somewhere. Over there. Now why is it over there? My guy was filling in for a guy on lunch break. I mean, he was clearly, I mean, like, to be fair, I'm in a plane that's not very common in my region. It's a French-built aircraft. Actually, the cool thing about my airplane is that it's built by Aerospatiale, which is the same company that built the Concorde. So in theory, I'm flying a very, very tiny and much slower Concorde. I think that's not really what we need over here. What the hell was that? What the hell is this? Okay. I don't want that over here. But, so yesterday was wonderful, and was very interesting. But today I'm just I'm in a bit of a funk, in a bit of a weird funk, and you know, I don't think I'm giving myself the appropriate time to feel like I can be in this funk. But I just, yeah, you know, I'm just not really having a good time today. I think I used that over somewhere else. I mean, Boeing has definitely had a lot of issues, and particularly as of late. Yeah, that's certainly true. But Boeing aircraft, generally, in the grand scheme of things, are cheaper than Airbuses to purchase. If I'm remembering correctly, maybe not with the newer 7 series aircraft, but generally know that Boeings tend to have a better longevity if they don't eat themselves into the ground. But Boeings just tend to be the preferred aircraft of choice for most operators. It's a not so great looking building. I know there's buildings in this set by this guy that I can use. I just gotta find them. Oh, it's arena. bit more the other way. I kind of just need some, like, maybe 50s, 60s style buildings over here. This area's kind of built up some. I saw my cat. Well, this can work as for a house of some kind. Oh, I'll find something. A levitating building. Yeah, no, I worked for Southwest when we were starting to get the Max and they were crashing, and I'm like, you know, I don't think I'm going to fly on this aircraft anytime soon. Just, I don't get the feeling I'm going to be getting on this aircraft at any point in time in the near future. And a lot of my coworkers like, oh, it's fine, it's safe, it's just other airlines that don't know how to operate. I'm like, no, I just don't think I'm going to get on this aircraft anytime soon. Like, it was the whole big thing, and, you know, when people were requesting to be removed from the aircraft and placed on different flights that didn't use Max 8s, you know, my coworkers were kind of upset with these folks that wanted to be moved, and it's like, yeah, it's inconvenient, especially when I load the aircraft, because the aircraft is very tall and I'm not, but I can't easily access the cargo bin like I could on other 737 aircraft. You know, from the ground, I have to pull up the bell loader, I have to, you know, do all this, and it's kind of weight sensitive too. What the hell is this? It's like a nursery of some kind. I'll put that somewhere over here. Kind of feels like a place for it near the airport. But it's like, I full-heartedly agree with these people. Like, I would not get on this aircraft right now. Like, I don't think there was ever a time where I was faced with getting on the aircraft, because Southwest only had so many in the fleet. I think it was like 10 or so out of the entire fleet of hundreds of aircraft. But at the same point, like, the idea of, you know, that you could end up on this plane was scary enough for some people, because it was known that Southwest operated this aircraft type. So people didn't want to get on it, and I full-heartedly, like I said, I agreed with them. And yeah, it'd be annoying to have to go in and that's Perry. And, you know, get their bag, you know, go find their bags and stuff, especially so close to departure. But if it made someone feel much safer, and it made them feel better, you know, because who's to say our aircraft couldn't go down? Because, yeah, it was a systematic error, and it was something that wasn't in the training for this aircraft, which I find deplorable. That, you know, this was never in the training. School. Might need that. Go over there. It was just a wild time, really. I mean, for everyone and everything. get a feeling I've used this already. I think I actually know where I used it too. I'm pretty sure it's right. Yep, right there. Erg. Do I remain okay with it though? This building. I'm gonna use this building. Spaghetti. There you go. Yankees are in the playoffs. Cool. Just focus on this real quick. So I think it's floating. Yes, a little bit. Please don't be on a slope. Please don't be on a slope. Be on a slope. Fuck me. But don't. I don't think it's that bad on a slope, is it? Nothing noticeable, is it? I don't think it is. Nah, it's not noticeable. Okay, it's fine by me. Oh, so actually here's something out of my recent dating app isms for y'all. So, like I said, I've kept my dating apps going for years now. Actually, it's gonna be 3 years on the 5th, actually, since I got going with that. It's not really a date I like to remember, but nevertheless, it's there it is. But I can't delete you. There we go. But no, I was talking to a girl here recently, and you know, I wouldn't say it was a very unpleasant experience, you know, but much like any experience I've had here recently, starts out pretty well, but you know, she's started talking to me more and more and more. I'm like, oh, great, you know, that's awesome, you know, maybe she's interested. But kind of wanted to see it through. She was a little provocative at first. I'm like, okay, you know, I've met girls like this before. They do kind of make sexually charged jokes or, you know, kind of innuendos right from the get-go. Again, not something that I'm entirely opposed to. I do make a lot of dirty jokes myself. Little weird, but nonetheless, again, I'm not opposed. It's an adult, you know. It's nothing I've never said before. And so we keep talking, and the many things that had caught me was like, you know, she seemed rather sweet and interesting, tall too, which, you know, is kind of low-key a thing that well, actually it's not low-key, it's big-key. It's, everyone knows that knows me. But it's something that I am attracted to, taller women. So we keep talking for a while, and some days go by, and then comes the question. So how do you feel, you know, and she didn't really start out with this, she kind of started about other, you know, kind of political-esque questions. You know, what are your thoughts on, you know, the government, what are your thoughts on this, what are your thoughts on that, like, you know, one was like the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and another one was, you know, what are your thoughts on, you know, women's rights right now, you know, pretty valid questions, like, you know, like, in terms of women's rights, like, you know, because I guess there's a whole big anti-abortion bill getting passed or put through, which I'm not very keen on. You know, I'm very big about separation of politics and state, and I do see that this is something very religious that's getting pushed through in my mind. I think it's something very, very religious that's getting pushed through that I think needs to be separated from our church and state. And the thing that I also don't like is that there's no exception for rape or assault victims, which I find absolutely horrendous, that they're not even giving the exception for victims of these circumstances, people who might not be capable of taking care of a child. And now this child's being brought in, because I've seen a lot of the argument of, oh, well, God, clearly intended for this child to be here, and this is just his will, or, well, you can always put the child up for adoption. Well, the big thing is that, you see these political groups like, all right, well, you gonna adopt it then? No one says anything. No one does anything. It's like, yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think you were gonna take care of it, Miss Righteous. But anyways, so, it was a very valid question to ask, and I had the conversation. It's a woman's body. She's free to choose. Who am I, even as a male, to say, what is right or wrong? But at the same point, it's not my place. It's not my body. It's not for me to decide. And again, I just feel it's the appropriate thing to do, even if even if there's no reason, even if it was just someone who had unprotected sex, was fooling around, and now she's pregnant, wants an abortion. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not gonna sit here and try to tell someone they can't do that. If that's their prerogative, that's their prerogative. Because I have to think about, okay, well, clearly this person was irresponsible and decided to have unprotected sex. Now there's a chance that they're bringing a child into the world. That child's probably not going to have a good upbringing. Yeah, no. But anyways, so, again, these were some questions that were asked to me, and I answered them like I would to anything else. And then the question of, how do you feel about transgender people popped up? Now, I do have a friend who is transgender. Avery is her name. I've known Avery for quite some time, but Avery, I believe, was my first transgender friend that I came to know in any capacity. It did take some time for me to... Because I think it was about the time that, the whole transgender thing was growing, and it was coming to more of a spotlight, and it was really kind of a big question that I had asked myself. I'm like, how do I feel? Because I was just moved to Illinois, and it was coming up a lot with the topic of my ex, and then I realized, why do I have to feel a certain way? Why do I have to feel a certain way? It's not me. I'm not the one sitting here trying to find happiness in the world and be happy with myself. I'm not the one who's not okay with X, Y, and Z. I'm not the one that's going through these big things. So it doesn't matter if I'm okay with it or not. As long as these people who are making the change from either male to female are happy, or male, female to male are happy and feel fulfilled with their lives, then that's all I could ask for. As long as they're okay. Now, personally, I find that I'm a man. I've always been a man. I'm always going to be a man. That's where I'm at. I just don't. I don't want other people's narratives pushed down my throat, and I'm not going to shove my narratives and how I feel about the world down their throat. I have no problem with transgender people whatsoever. But I don't find myself incredibly attracted to someone who is trans. Particularly, it is a bit of a mindset that I just, I just can't get a little bit beyond. It doesn't make me transphobe or anything like that. It's just I never really was comfortable with the idea of dating someone who was at one point a man, or so on and so forth. So that's where I stand. And I told this girl that, and she's like, oh, so you just will never date a trans person? I'm like, Probably not. So you're transphobe. No, I just don't find myself incredibly attracted. Like, I would absolutely be friends with anyone who is transgender. It doesn't bother me. It's not something that is, gonna make or break my day. I just don't feel incredibly attracted. I'll provide all the love and support in the world as a great friend would, as I do to all my other friends. But I just don't find myself attracted. So come to find out, this girl who was getting angry at me announced to me that, oh, by the way, I'm trans. And it's like, well, A, you could have fooled me, and you did. But also, like, don't you think that's something you maybe wanted to mention, like, from the get-go? Because, I understand now you are a woman, and that's absolutely, fine. I'm happy for you that that's the change you made. But at the same point, don't you think that's maybe something you might want to mention from the get-go? Because, I've spent all this time talking with you, I've kind of grown a little close to you and stuff like that, and now, you kind of dropped the bombshell that, well, I am trans, after finding out that that's something that I'm not particularly keen on. And that's something I'm not particularly okay with. Like, you don't have to, like, be upfront right then and there, like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm trans. Like, don't even say hello, just, hey, I'm trans. But, maybe just something. But, even if you don't, and you do mention it, that's fine. Personally, in my head, I think I would mention it, but then again, I'm not trans. I can't say. Maybe it's hard to speak, about that. I don't know. I have no clue. I've never walked in their shoes. I've never done anything that a trans person has. I've never had to go through the trials and tribulations that they have. I've never had to go through the harassment and stuff because I'm not trans. But I have a preference. You asked me a question. I stated that preference. That preference doesn't make me evil. It doesn't make me wrong. It's just my preference. Like, it's just what I've decided. But, oh fuck, this building, god damn it. I just can't win today. I just can't win today. Ah! Fuck. Really? Why? Why are these buildings like this? This is what's gonna piss me off. Fuck it, I'm just gonna raise the sidewalk. I'm not even gonna play this game. Well, I am playing this game, but I'm not even gonna play this game like this. Just fuck it. You're getting that, and that's all we're gonna do right here. That's all you're getting. But yeah, and that was my prerogative. Is I'm just not attracted to someone who is transgender. It doesn't make me wrong, But I've always hated that because this isn't the first time that this has happened, and it is very annoying. Again, I am all for people finding happiness in the world. So as long as you're not touching a child in an inappropriate manner. Obviously that is not anything I'm okay with, and people like that need to be shot on the spot. But, if you, are, what's the terms I've heard lately, like assigned male at birth, or, and you decide, no, I'm not a man. Okay, fine. Do what you need to do to be happy in this life, because this existence is long. It is long. This existence is very long, and it is painful on many days. So if this is what you do to make you happy, this is what makes you feel complete in your life, and then, hey, that's great for you, and I'm glad that you found a sense of belonging and a sense of happiness with yourself in this life, because that is ultimately what's important. But personally speaking, that's not me. That's not who I am. I am me. I'm attracted to women. always been women, and that's where I stand. And I think that that's something that needs to be understood. Now, I don't think that every trans person is like that. You know, I don't think Avery has ever sat there. I know Avery has kind of made a couple of provocative jokes, particularly because Avery is taller. And again, all my friends know I like tall women. So Avery has definitely made a couple of jokes and whatnot. If I ever met Avery, because I have never met her, I would not give her a hug. She's my best fucking friend. I would give her a hug. This woman has known me for a very long time and has also encouraged me to get back out there in the world and make positive changes in my life to do things. Avery is also a flying friend, so she's a part of the aviation community and the model jet community, or previously was part of the model airplane community. I don't believe she still is. But that's how I know her from, is the model airplane community. So, we used to have a common interest. So I've known her for quite a long time. But, I would absolutely go hang out with Avery. I would, go do things. Not because, she is trans or I need to make myself look better, because she's my friend. I'm not going to say her gender status isn't important to me, but it's not something that's going to make or break my day. Jaden with the tall Norwegian woman goals. Yeah. See, Mal even knows. But like, she is my friend, and I'm gonna treat her like any other person because she's a person. And that's just that. She's not just my trans friend. She's not my pilot friend. She's not my model airplane friend. She's my friend. That's who she is. Like, Mal is my friend, and if I meet him, I'm gonna treat him like I treat anyone else. I'm gonna punch him in the balls. No, I wouldn't. But you get my point. They're people, but again, I don't feel comfortable dating someone who is transgender. It's just where I stand in life, and nothing anyone says or do will change that. Also, I'm fucking sick of this already. Christ. How am I gonna? This is dumb. This is dumb. I'll figure that out. I'm spending way too much time on this building. I need to get moving with the area. But it just always kills me when that comes up, or I'm talking to a woman and I find that out, and I state to her, listen, I don't feel comfortable dating you, particularly because this is not one of my preferences. Evil, transphobe, disgusting, scum of the earth. People like you need to die, or people like you need to be, put in get help or something. People like you are what's wrong with this world. It's like, A, no, and B, no, and C, no, but okay. Like, if that's how you feel, then okay. Then so be it, but it's not going to change my opinion. Like, I'm still not particularly attracted to you in that way, so I'm sorry. So, yeah. But it just kills me. There's nothing wrong with having a preference, so as long as you're not using it to belittle a person. Like, some people aren't attracted to people of size. Okay? There's no need to fat shame them. No need to... Elon? Love this song. So this isn't, thought I found a royalty-free Viking music, because I keep getting things on my videos being like, there was not a copyright striker, it was a claim, so any monetization will go. I'm like, oh. I should switch it up today. found this, and clearly it's not because I know for a fact this is Helan. Yeah, Helan in Madian, which is a beautiful song. Love in Madian. Or I've said that wrong. Whatever. Whatever. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that here on the stream. I'm tired. Center back here, maybe a small parking lot for this area. So I need to put something over here, particularly, possibly a hotel of some kind. Oh, things I do for this area. Yeah, I've definitely had some experiences, positive, negative, many negative. I've been stood up more times. I've been ghosted. I've been so many different things. It's like, remember once there was a girl that we were gonna go on a date. We had talked for like 3-4 weeks. I can't date tall women. Nothing wrong with them. They're just for sure. See, exactly. And that's great because more tall women for me. But no, like, you don't want to date a woman who's taller, and that's absolutely fine. I found that a lot of women don't want to date a guy who's shorter. Like, a shit ton of women don't want to date a guy who's shorter than them. Partly because I feel that is a societal standard that is placed upon women, and I have had this talk with my Norwegian friend who is taller than I. Women are made to feel that, you know, they need to be the shorter one. They need to be with someone who's taller than them, someone who can take care of them. Maybe this is the case for a lot of the women that I've met, but I found that this is usually how it is. So I've had a lot of issues finding someone taller than me who would be comfortable with dating me. Particularly for, well, you know, the reason of I'm shorter. But, and, you know, it's just not something they're comfortable with. So it is what it is. It sucks. There are times where I do get angry. I particularly get more angry with people who are kind of dicks about it. But predominantly speaking, it's something that I've had to become okay with, because that was their preference. That's something that they decided that, you know, they didn't want to date someone because of this. They didn't want to date someone because they're, you know, shorter than they are, and that's okay. That's their preference. It just sucks when it's every single tall woman I've met, and it's all the same reason. Because ultimately, I would love to date a girl who's taller than me. But ultimately, I would love to be with someone who is meaningful, and someone who can hold a conversation, someone who can be okay with the fact that I have really shit mental days, and I'm trying my hardest to fix my mental health, but today just isn't a good day, and there's no reason, there's nothing they did, and that's fine. And, you know, I want someone who's going to be with okay with the fact that I have female friends, and that these female friends are going nowhere, that these female friends are going to remain in my life, and that a lot of these female friends, particularly, you know, my Norwegian friend, my friend Kayla, are the same to me as, you know, people like my sister and such. You know, I don't wish to date them, but I want them in my life because they are family to me. So Sean, no, not Sean. But what am I doing here? but I don't find a reason, or I don't find a need to be rude or evil about stating your preference. But I do think it is important for people to have preferences. As much as I would love to be with a woman who is taller, hold on, yeah, I mean, I have preference. Two women I've dated mostly fall into those preferences. I think I should just have a relationship. Yeah, I mean, some people do put specific emphasis on the preference that they have chosen more than they have taken the initiative to just find someone who is meaningful. Like I said, most of the girls that I have gone on dates with usually don't fall into the preference of, tall and or Nordic, but for the most part, they do tend to be very meaningful people who have impacted my life in some way, usually most of the time positive, but when they go, it sometimes can be a negative. Let me tell you a little story about how my life got turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute to sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a card called a Crown Vic. No, anyways, I'm gonna tell you a little story about a girl that I was so head over heels for, and unfortunately I had met her in a very bad time in my life where I was being very irresponsible with my mental health, and I didn't take the steps, the initiative to take care of me, and I wasn't doing things properly, so unfortunately it kind of scared her away, and that was entirely my fault, because, well, let me get into the story real quick. But so when I was in Illinois, shortly after my ex, which actually that anniversary is tomorrow. Tomorrow will make 3 years since my ex left me, and I'm happy she's gone, but it's still tough, the being alone part. Damn it, Jaden, that was good. Thank you. But no, so there was this girl named Emily that I had flown home and I had matched with. Now, mind you, I had no fucking clue how to pronounce her name, because her name was spelled with a little accent over it, and I had no fucking clue how to say that. But I eventually I'd matched with her, and then we didn't talk too much. And then I came home a third time, and we matched again. Started talking. Didn't talk for long. Then I came home a third time, right before I moved home, and we started talking again. And we kept talking this time. And right before I was moving home, I was already pretty much ready to get in my car and start driving. Me and this girl, Emily, started talking, just, for the day. And she'd mentioned how she'd had this big crush on a guy. And I'm like, oh, who is it? And it was kind of after a little bit of a flirty conversation. And she started talking about this guy, how he lived in Illinois. And, which at that point, I lived in Illinois. So, and she started going on and like, up so loud. Also don't need to turn it down. And she started going on and talking about things that sounded a lot like me. And I was like, oh my god, this girl likes me, like, this girl really likes me, like, holy shit. Then come to find out, it actually wasn't me. Like, there was a guy that she was talking to, I forget his name, but he lived up in Chicago, and it was actually someone she had liked, and it's someone who she had talked to that, he kind of wanted to be a police officer, and I think he drove a retired cop car. His family wasn't the best growing up, and, he'd had bad luck with an ex-fiance of some kind, or an ex-girlfriend, and some other stuff. I think he was moving home, too, or not, I don't know if he was moving home, but there was a lot of similarities to me. And when she'd said his name, I think it was, I forget his name, but I thought she was just joking around. Like, oh yeah, it's, like Jeremy or Brandon or whatever his name was. And I was like, oh yeah, this Brandon guy and stuff like that, thinking she was just using it as a way to say me. But it wasn't until I had realized a little bit later in the conversation that she was actually, like, this dude was real. Like, he actually was, like, a legitimate person. And this was someone she liked. I can't remember how I had come to that conclusion. I'm sure it was through more contextual clues and just continuation of the conversation. But I had come to that, revelation, and I'm like, oh, wait, this guy actually exists. She's like, yeah, why? And like, oh, I just, nothing. Never mind. And I had explained to her when I had gotten home from Illinois, when I had moved home and we started hanging out, that I actually thought she was talking about me. And of course, she felt so bad because, she was just talking to me. She didn't realize it. So on and so forth. So it was kind of the running joke and whatnot for the longest time. Emily and I became very good friends very quickly, but Emily had a kind of let her bad experience with men from the past really shape how she felt about men nowadays and relationships, and particularly she put a lot of emphasis on her mom's relationships, on how she viewed relationships. So her outlook on dating was not very good. And so it's something that definitely put a strain on it, because I was very deeply in love with this girl, and I really wanted to be with her. She came to my birthday that year when I turned 20. Was I turned 23? Yeah, because I would have turned 23. Yeah, because I turned 24 with a little COVID. So yeah, I turned 23. I was still kind of looking for work at that point. We were just hanging out, and eventually I had started my new job as a security guard. We were still hanging out, and eventually, as time passed on and we were pushing into mid to late December, my mental health took a massive tank, because I was still at this point ignoring my mental health as I had come home. Like, all my problems are solved from home now. Like, I'm no longer in Illinois. Like, I don't have to, I have no reason to be sad. And I had very greatly stopped focusing on my mental health. So eventually, time pushes on, I'm ignoring it, I'm now working my job that I quickly came to dislike greatly. I was working the graveyard shift, I wasn't, seeing the sun at all, so it took a huge toll on me. And I continued to ignore it, instead of doing the things that I knew I needed to do to be better. To work on these things to continue to be better. And eventually it came to a head, and I had another attempt on my life, and I had ignored a lot of texts from Emily that day, and on my way to the hospital, I had wanted some of my closer friends who I knew Emily was in contact with to know what had happened real quick, just because I didn't know how long I was going to be there in the hospital, because I'd been there before, and I was there for quite a few days. So I had messaged her back, just kind of briefly explaining the situation, which I definitely shouldn't have done in that moment. I think I should have just focused on me, not kind of said anything about it right then and there, because I don't really think there was a real need to do that, because, she'd definitely been very worried, considering I texted every day, but, I look back on it, and I don't think I should have done that. I think I should have waited to appropriately explain to her later on, and be able to answer any questions she had had right then and there, instead of letting her, know this knowledge and then wait. But luckily I was released from the hospital that night, so I was able to go home immediately. So Emily ended up coming to get me, and she asked her mom if I could stay up there with them for a few days, which her mom allowed. So I stayed up there, and I think it definitely scared Emily that point, she'd kind of started talking to another guy, which definitely kind of added some more strain to my feelings toward her. You know, particularly with what I'm struggling with, which is borderline personality disorder. You know, I do fear things like abandonment. That is just something that I've always had a fear of. Friends, family, people I meet, coworkers, other stuff. I fear being left behind. That's something that stems back from my parents' divorce many years ago. Something I just have not ever really gotten over. So I felt that Emily was leaving me behind. That she was, you know, replacing me in a sense. And this guy was, in a lot of ways, kind of what she was looking for. And it all kind of came to a head because I had asked Emily one time, because I was driving with her, and we were driving by the movie theater in her town, and it was when the movie 1917, I believe, was the title, had come out. And I know, like, she's not into war movies or history, and I kind of asked her, as she was staring off out the window, if she'd wanted to see it. And she'd kind of brushed it off, kind of just didn't really seem too interested in what I had to say. You know, she didn't really have anything much to say about it. I figured just, you know, wasn't something she's interested in. Come to find out, she was tired. You know, she was very tired and was falling asleep, and when she gets very tired, she just kind of starts zoning out, as, well, you do when you're tired. So she didn't really hear what I had to say. So some time went by, and, we were driving along, and I was having a bad mental episode, and I wanted to go up to my overlook that overlooks the mountains. It's not very high up, it's just on the hillside. The hill is very shallow and small, but it looks out into this, you know, it has this good vantage point above the tree line that you can look out and see some of the mountains in the distance. And so we were going up there, and she was talking about this guy Donovan, and that they were going on a date soon, and, you know, she was just trying to make conversation. Why she chose that topic, I don't know. But that was the topic she chose, which, you know, I still think maybe she probably should have chose a different topic, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna get on her case much about it, but, you know, maybe a different subject matter would have been better, considering she knew I still liked her, but it is what it is, you know. And I had asked, oh, you know, what are you guys gonna go do? And like, oh, we're gonna go see a movie. And I'm like, oh, well, what movie are you guys going to see? And she's like, oh, it's some more movie, you know, 1917. And I kind of blew up in that instance, because at that moment, it was wrong. I didn't yell, I didn't put my hands on her, I didn't, you know, do anything abusive like that. I got very angry. I was already kind of getting ticked off because I was behind this slow truck. I'm attempting to justify it. I shouldn't. And, you know, in that instance, I felt like, you know, she was replacing me. That she was, you know, I'd wanted to see this movie. She didn't seem interested. But now that, you know, Donovan had asked, you know, she suddenly wanted to go. And to me, that hurt a lot. And I got real mad. I said, oh, so if fucking Donovan wants to fucking see you go because he fucking likes you. But if I want to go, it's suddenly not good enough. And then I hit the accelerator and blew around the semi. It was a passing zone, but I still, you know, drove very aggressively. Which I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have done that. And we got into the overlook, and I scared the fuck out of her. You know, because she... I knew how she had felt about people and aggressive driving. It just wasn't... It was definitely something that scared her. And I did something to hurt her. You know, guess in my moment of feeling hurt as well, I hurt somebody else. And I never forgave myself for that, and I think that was the final straw for her, and that was something that pushed her away. Eventually to the point where she resented me and my demons, and she didn't want to go because, you know, she felt that if she was to leave, I would stop working on bettering myself, because after that, you know, I did start putting in the work, because I'm like, I need, you know, I fucking hated myself for weeks. I hated myself for fucking weeks on end. I was pissed at myself. I love my car, my big Crown Vic. I wanted to get rid of it. I wanted to get out of my sight. I was tired of looking at it, you know, and I felt that if I just get rid of it, you know, there's a source of this pain that could go away. But eventually I did start putting in the work more. I started getting better. I started getting help. I was doing better. COVID had hit. I had actually met another girl. Her name was Madison. We started talking. And Emily had felt, though, that if she were to leave, that I would give up on doing better for myself. And eventually she started just growing distant and not talking to me as much, and I was kind of really pulling teeth to get her to talk to me. And then one day I finally got annoyed, and I called her out. I said, hey, you know, just because because I know something that generally happened to her too was when her guy friends started talking to other girls, they would generally leave her behind. And I thought that's what it was. So I'm like, oh, she probably thinks I'm leaving her behind. So I had reached out to her and said, hey, you know, just because I'm talking to this girl doesn't mean, you know, I'm gonna forget you. And eventually, you know, there was something more that she was kind of holding back, because I can read her very well, usually. I can actually read a lot of people very well. But she finally opened up to me and said, you know, that she had grown to hate me and resent me, and she wanted to stop talking to me, but she was afraid of, you know, again, me giving up on doing the work for myself. I'm trying to find, let me see, security. That's probably what I want. Did I spell that right? I don't think I did. Ha! But, you know, I finally had to explain to her that, like, hey, listen. You know, I understand your concerns. I understand how you feel about this, but I'm not gonna give up. You know, I can't. You know, if you need to go because of things that I've done, then I absolutely understand that. You know, I'm not gonna hold anything against you. I'm not gonna be mad at you. I'm not gonna be anything toward you. But if you need to go, then you need to go. I can't hold you here. You know, that you need to do things that are best for you as well. And if leaving is one of them, then so be it. You know, it was a very big thing. It was a very, very big thing. But she ended up leaving, and I have not spoken to her in, oh god, over a year and a half. I've kind of sort of run into her just out and about in public, but we've never really stopped to speak to each other, and you know, better off being that way. I don't really think I have anything to say to her. I don't suppose she has anything to say to me. But you know, it hurt, and the only person I have to blame is myself. You know, I feel that if I had taken care of my mental well-being a little better, we could at least still be friends. I don't think I would have ever dated her, you know, even though I really, really wanted to, because Emily was such a magnificent person and such a sweet girl. She did so much to help me, and, you know, she did force me to do a lot of growing, and she was very beautiful too, very, very beautiful, and had such an amazing mind to her, but I feel that we could have still been great friends, at the very least. But you know, sometimes it's just best to let go than to hang on and force something, and that was kind of what I realized, that again, you know, I wasn't taking care of me, and I had hurt this person. You know, yeah, you can use the argument, oh, well, you know, you're struggling with mental, you know, disorders and whatnot. You know, you weren't really you. Yeah, but one thing that I've always held close to me is, though you might not be in the right state of mind, you might be very down on your luck, etc., 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 you are still accountable for your actions. And I've always been a firm believer in that. You know, I am still accountable for my actions. You know, I didn't intend to do these things, but I still did them. And so I have to own up for the things that I have done. You know, there are times where I might not be in the best and happiest states, and I kind of get mad at my friends. I'd be a dick to them, or whatever. Or they might say something to me, and I'm just already a little off today. And I kind of get very pissy and snippy with them. And then I have to come back and be like, hey, listen, you're going to start to yourself up too much and realize that you're struggling mentally. Yeah, I mean, I do understand there were things on her end that, you know, maybe she could have done better as well. But I am a firm believer that, you know, if I had taken care of me better, these things wouldn't have happened. And I am very angry with myself. Not much as I was then, but I still am ashamed to this day to know that I did hurt someone in some capacity. That I allowed my anger, and I allowed my feelings to get the better of me, and I allowed these things to do something in a manner that I knew wouldn't. Yeah, I should be streaming still, Mal. Have a good supper. You know, I did these things that really kind of hurt someone and scared someone. I scared someone. I allowed the things in my life that scare me on a lot of days to come out and scare somebody else. And that was, in my eyes, not okay. So, I've heard people, particularly my family, say a lot of things about Emily. I am also going to need to take a break here shortly. I gotta go get this cat hair out of my face and get something to drink because I am parched, but I'll finish this story at least real quick. I do try to be kind to myself in some manners, and understanding that, yeah, you know, I didn't handle things appropriately. I am still human. But I am still upset that these things were allowed to happen. That I did not take care of myself appropriately to the point where I allowed my anger to get the better of me and I scared someone. And that's something that I have been very apprehensive about starting over with again. You know, and I've been very nervous because, oh, and I did forget one tiny detail, just to add a little extra, you know, sting. So, I was also talking to that girl, Madison, whom we were kind of moving a little quickly, but, you know, the romantic sense was very much there with her. But Madison was supposed to. But she was supposed to come over and stay the night, and this was the night, like the day after Emily and I had stopped talking. And so I was really hopeful that Madison was going to come over and, you know, just at least help take a little of that sting away. And I texted her that day, and she said, yeah, I'll be over tonight. And hours had gone by. I didn't hear from her. She was only supposed to be coming from the next state over in New Hampshire. It was only like an hour and a half drive. And didn't hear from her. Like, I texted her, like, hey, you know, hope you're okay, da-da-da-da-da. You know, just let me know when you're on the way. Just kind of getting a little worried. Nothing. Like, the next day, you know, that day, the next day came and stuff, and, like, I still hadn't heard from Madison and stuff like that. I'm like, where the fuck is she? Like, is she dead somewhere? Like, am I supposed to get in my car and drive? And, you know, and that day kind of drug on and stuff, and the evening came, and she posted a Snapchat story. I'm like, huh, she was at a party. And I texted her, like, hey, like, if you had other plans, just let me know. Like, I'm not gonna be angry. Like, just let me know if you had other plans. Like, I'm just trying to plan things as well. I thought you were supposed to be coming, you know, so on and so forth. You know, just text me if you can. Hours went by, and I was kind of getting really frustrated at this point, and I sent her one more message. I'm like, hey, like, can you please just say something? Like, I kind of get the feeling you're ghosting me, and that's kind of shitty. Like, can you at least just, like, say something and let me know? She read it, but she never replied. And that was the last time I had heard from her. So it was kind of a double whammy of, like, you know, Emily was gone. I'm like, alright, well, you know, at least I, you know, kind of have Madison and stuff like that, and I can focus on doing better, at least with her, and making sure that I don't make the same mistakes over again. And then that fucking happened. Day after, well, 2 days after, but day after, I'm like, okay, like, we're done. Like, we're just done. Like, I was, in hindsight, like, at least it all happened at once, so I didn't have to move on from one and have to deal with another. So in some way, I was kind of happy that it all happened all at the same time. But it still hurt a ton. Particularly just because, well, it did. I mean, I don't really think there's a good explanation for it other than it just hurt. You know, that hurt like a shit ton. You know, I was still struggling with the whole abandonment thing and stuff, and, you know, two girls. I mean, one, obviously, I had sat down and chatted with and told her, like, hey, you know, if you gotta go, you gotta go. Like, I'm not gonna force you to stay here if you're unhappy with me. I perfectly get why you have feelings toward me like this. Like, I perfectly get it. So if you gotta go, like, I can't have you sit here. But the other one ghosted me. But both were gone nonetheless. That still hurt like hell. And that was a very tough pill to swallow. And I've chatted with girls since, but I really haven't. Like, I think I went on maybe like one or two more dates through 2020. One with a girl who was about my height, maybe just a hair taller. And, like, I didn't, you know, first date through COVID, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And she's like, you just kind of treated me like a friend. I'm like, well, I didn't walk you your car because, like, you seemed very adamant about, like, social distancing and stuff like that, and, like, wearing masks, so, like, you know, don't really know what to tell you, and then she ghosted me. I like, okay. And then another girl, like, wanted to move way too quickly. Like, we hung out once, second time we talked, like, we started chatting, and then, like, she kind of determined quick, like, hey, we seem very compatible. And I'm like, yeah, we seem like we get along in certain things and stuff like that. Like, we see eye to eye on certain subjects. And, like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But, she had kind of thought, like, I was going to be the one. And I'm over here, like, I'm going to at least wait a year before I, like, ask this girl out if I want to be with her. And, like, she was just kind of opposite of the things that I was. Like, she wants to live in Boston. I don't. Like, she wants to live in a city. She does not like the country. I like the country. I don't really like living in cities. She did not like my cat. And she's actually one of the girls that I've met. There's been 3 that asked would I ever give up my cat for a girl, which is always no. Because that's my my quote unquote child. That's my Toby. That's my buddy. That's my family. That's my baby. I'm not giving him up. I'm not giving up for just some girl. It's lunacy to think and to ask that question. Would you give up your cat if your girl had asked you to? Absolutely not. Even if you'd really love this girl, absolutely. Even if I really love someone, I would not give up my cat because that's not fair to him. To which usually they use the excuse, oh, well, cats have no feelings. Bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. Like, I get it. People don't like cats. That's cool. I do. That's my Toby. I'm not giving him up. Like, I'd only give up Toby if I could not take care of him anymore. Yeah. No, I would not give up my siblings as much as I'd love to. For just some girl. Like, that's just not gonna happen. Like, I'm not gonna give up my cat just because some girl doesn't like my cat and decides, like, oh, like, you should just give him up. There's the door. Like, if you don't like him, then sorry, but he was here first. You're replaceable. He's not. Like, I'm not ever giving him up. So, but that was kind of the last few girls that I had talked to for an extended period of time, but most of the time it's like, they get ghosted pretty quickly, or, they generally stop talking to me, or something comes up. They delete the app, or, what have you, or just an assortment of different things usually will pop up. Or this case, which led to this whole convoluted subject of the girls I've been talked to. That the whole matter of transgender pops up. And again, like I said, I have no problem. As long as you're happy. But personally speaking, again, I'm not attracted to people who are transgender. That's just that. But, damn me for having a preference. So the whole romantic issues just aren't very, great right now, and yeah, like I said, tomorrow's a very important date for me. It's 3 years since my ex left. Like I said, I always say I'm happy she's gone. I feel like it's better that we are apart. But I think I'm more sad for my past self. And I'm still bothered by a lot of the stuff that happened. You know, I just really haven't found a way to get over it. And, you know, I'm just more upset that, you know, that's my past. That was, you know, a lot of how, when I think back to myself from then, that's what pops up is my ex. You know, and there were great times, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it just was kind of negative. I'm hurt over the control and the manipulation on her end, but each year gets better. I just kind of, you know, I think something that I had mentioned maybe last time is, you know, I kind of hoped I maybe would have found someone meaningful at least to share some time with by now, but there is no rush to it all. I'm only gonna be 25. I still got a lot of time ahead of me. So realistically, there is no rush. You know, and I can still be doing things right now to be working on myself, particularly, you know, flying aircraft and doing things that make me happy and getting myself back together financially. But, you know, it just still makes the days long. Yeah. No, that's all it is. It just happens. Like, it's gonna happen one day, and, you know, it'll make all the time spent waiting worth it. I mean, that's the thing, is just, you know, I've been waiting for such a long time that, you know, kind of sucks. I don't really like dating around. I don't really like the whole aspect of it. It just kind of gets old, because it all just, I don't know if I'm just meeting the wrong girls, but it all just feels the same. It's like I meet someone and just the whole aspect of having to get to know them just feels the same. Like, it feels like I've already been here, I've done that, you know, so I'm just mostly, I guess, I don't know if bored's the right word to use, because I'm not bored. Like, I'm very excited to meet people. It's just the whole concept of having to do it all over again, I guess, is something that I am annoyed with, having to get to know them, get to learn everything about them, and because I've just have done it so many fucking times, and it's annoying is all. It's just annoying. Excuse me. As for this area, I feel pretty good with this little downtown core for Sorgan 3. I might put like a fewer small kind of, because I kind of want to do like a little college facility kind of in this area, like a little small campus, like a technical institution, or something. Like, I gotta do something over here. Some smaller buildings right here. Maybe like a building or two on this side. Planes landing here at this airport would probably be about here-ish when landing, so I can put some small buildings through here. You know, there really aren't big aircraft coming in, so particularly like this building could go very well right here at the end of the runway. Actually, I think I'm going to slide that. I think that's where I'm going to put this. such. There'll probably be a bridge that will cross the 9 and Delva too for this road. Probably be a few bridges as we start to push out, because over here, like, things are going to start getting more sparse. The towns are actually going to start getting not as dense as we leave kind of the capital area. Yeah, I think that'll be fine to have right next to the airport. I might move this as well. It might be over here, somewhere over there. I gotta do something in that. Yeah, no, and that's what I don't want. I don't want to end up in another bad relationship. You know, I would hate myself for ending up in another one. But you know, it will come. It will come. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week. It could be today, tomorrow. I will admit there is a girl that has caught my eye, but I don't think anything will come out of it. I mean, maybe, but at this stage, I kind of doubt it just a little bit. But you know, it'll come eventually. Just not right now. I think we're gonna move this. This is Russian. Yeah. Not sure if an arena would go well over here. This area is just mostly going to be just houses and such, so... So actually what I'm thinking is removing that. There's no need for this to be here. That off-ramp can stay to get over to here. I'm trying to think what I'm doing in this area, so... I'm trying to imagine where these roads are going. So we have this road here, which is the surface road above the E road. Save total working crashed. What's the point? Oh Jesus. Yeah, that's how I feel with trains, which actually I'm gonna save real quick. So let's see here. So I have B Highway, which ends right here. And this road back here, which goes up and over. This is kind of a major intersection here, which this goes to Uya. This is Singsaka, as denoted by the station, which sits right here. So that's this. Look something up quick. I love this music. Yeah, a lot of the things I haven't looked at is the roads through here. Like, what are the roads all doing? Like, I haven't really laid down a lot of the roads here. Some of the greenery and pathways. Which, like, there's going to be a lot of houses that are pretty much right here. Like, I imagine there's going to be a road that... like, one thing I want to do... I'm actually going to put it down now before I forget. There's going to be houses. These are just all going to be houses. Just as time has gone by, these all just became... this was all residential, and then the airport just kind of went in. Which would be an interesting perspective, I would have to say, from the aviation standpoint, or the plane spotter standpoint. Planes flying down these roads. Which is also going to be a concern from a traffic light standpoint. So let me grab a couple of traffic light lamps and see how this would all work. Find them real quick where they go. Residential neighborhoods don't need to be like insanely lit, but need to have some decent lighting in this area. Maybe I'll work on that for a little bit, just kind of break off, which would also need to get some water here soon, or Pepsi, or probably a Pepsi. Just want to see this in kind of dim lighting. Yeah, I think that should be pretty recognizable, even with the street lights, which I'm going to place some more down, because obviously it's going to be through here. You know, how will planes receive that? I think I'm roughly getting it. 2, 2. Actually, let me measure this out. So we're going to go ahead and go 133.6, we'll just say 133. So I'll just place a bunch of these down. This. This, I think, is why I did not do any, too many arguments on Twitter, man. I have to stop. I find them so confusing sometimes. I don't think it's good for me. No, you know, I do find the political sphere to be rather too toxic on some days, particularly just because, and I don't mean this in any dig at you, but I do find that a lot of people can't take other people's opinions because everyone has a sense of, I need to feel right. You know, I'm right. My opinion is right. No one knows just how to have a civil discussion over things that they can easily disagree on. And get your claws out of my couch, you damn cat. Oh, are you meowing at me now? Huh? You meowing at me? Is that what you think's gonna get you somewhere? Huh? Meowing at me is appropriate? Get up here, you're gonna get pet. You're a cat. Congratulations. Oh, what a guy. What a guy. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna go off my desk? Ha ha ha, I got news for you. No, you're not. Dancing. Don't like this at all. Oh, you're very... I swear my cat's bipolar on some days. Like, every now and again he's a lap cat, most of the time he's not. Right now he's a lap cat. Oh, your claw! Ow! And hey, if you're falling off my lap there, Chief, you can just, you know, jump to the floor like you do with literally everything else. My skin is not a good, clawing thing. Oh yeah, you know, I think that's something too. Is, you know, people can't take when someone might throw out their opinion on the matter, or when, you know, someone might say something and you might think that, yeah, they're a sympathizer to this, and then they get all butthurt about, you know, that, have to justify why they're not, or, you know, X, Y, and Z. You know, and it's a vicious cycle that just gets repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. And oh, my cat meows at me very loudly because I'm not petting him because he's a cat and such. So, but you know, I mean, like I said, I have my opinion. Now, if at some point today, let's just say, kind of back on the you know, I don't date people who are transgender because it's just not my preference. You know, like I said, I get called all the time, you know, transphobic. That's what somebody thinks. Now, is it wrong? Absolutely. But I have never. I used to sit there, and I occasionally will sometimes, and I would try to defend my reasoning. But there has to be a point in time where I have to sit down and realize that there is no sense in reasoning with these people, or with just, and I don't mean that towards trans people, I just mean some people in general. There is no point in attempting to reason. If someone has their mind made up about a subject matter, that's it. That's it. There's nothing else I can say or do that will make them change their mind. They already have their mind made up about me. They already, you know, X, Y, and Z. Nothing I say or do will make them think any differently. So there is no point in me sitting here and attempting to change their mind. They think I'm a transphobe. Okay. Then go ahead and think that. They are absolutely incorrect. But if that's how they feel, then they can feel that way. Because all it's going to do is lead to some argument and me wasting my time and energy on something that really doesn't matter. You know, people at work call me an asshole. I already know I'm an asshole. You know, I'm here to get my stuff done. I don't take sympathy for those who perform stupidly at something that is very simple. And I also don't have a lot of sympathy for people who want to argue with me as I'm attempting to show them something on how to do that task more correctly or appropriately. But, and the thing is I don't have time for people who want to sit there and make a false narrative about something either. You know, or try to argue, again, why they are correct and why you need to believe them and why everybody else is incorrect and why everybody else is wrong. Anyone who thinks differently needs to, you know, be deplatformed or whatever, and that's in a very extreme case. But politics on Twitter in particular, I don't Twitter much. I mostly Twitter to look at girls with big boobs, probably, because that's kind of what my Twitter is filled with at this point. And by filled with, I mean like the whole 2 people that I probably ended up following at some point or another. But I don't really see the need to argue my politics or discuss politics or other sensitive matters elsewhere. Now, it can be said that, oh, well, you discuss those kinds of things here on your YouTube channel, and you only discuss those things on your YouTube channel because you're doing it in a place where you know you have an audience who agrees with you on the same subject matter. And I've seen other YouTubers get accused of this as well, people who do talk about political matters. Because generally speaking, if you do that on somewhere where, like your YouTube channel or Twitch channel or whatever, you've generally either built and or attracted an audience who generally agrees with the statements you make. So therefore, in that way, you are capable of saying things that you feel is correct, and people will only agree with you. Which, again, is not the case. I don't think it's ever really happened here because I only have 500 some odd subscribers, and I would have to say probably a massive fraction of those, like probably a 30th of my subscribers ever actually view my content on a semi-regular basis. you know, I actually am meaning to go through and trim out a lot of my A subscriptions and see if I can't trim out my subscribers. I know that seems weird, why would you want to trim out your subscribers, but it's just, it would give me a better analysis of the people who actually watch my content more than, you know, people who do, because I've had this YouTube channel for a long time. I have considered starting a new YouTube channel and, you know, kind of making it more for the people that want to see me on a regular basis, so I know exactly where I stand, but that's none the point right now. You know, I would love to get into some debates about, you know, any subject, sensitive subjects, political subjects, maybe learn something myself. I am not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to political matters, as I take a very apolitical stance. I don't like politics, but I do watch and I have a lot of thoughts and feelings towards political things. I'm only apolitical here in the US, particularly because I don't agree with our politics. I don't agree with the two-party system. I don't agree with much of what goes on here just because I don't like how it's ran. I don't know how it could be changed, and if it could even be changed, or if anyone's willing to allow it to change. I doubt it. You know, I know the excuse, you know, every vote counts is always thrown out there. I only vote on local matters that are important to me. Well, I'm going to vote this fall. Want to get my Maine State driver's license because there are topics up for vote here in the state of Maine, of which I feel very strongly about, and I want to vote on them. But on a national level, I don't feel it really matters, because there's just too many people. I mean, and it can even be said, oh, well, you'll vote locally, and there's still more people than just yourself and where you live. Yes, but I care more about my home than I do the rest of the country. And that's just a matter of fact. Yes, I'm a part of the United States, but I feel truly my vote matters more at home than it does on a national level. No, the two-party system is absolutely atrocious, and I fucking can't stand it. I want more representation. I want there to be more of a choice. I want there to be more of an option. You know, I talk with my Norwegian friends so often about this, and I hear about politics of Norway, and I hear politics about other countries, and it just makes me sad that, you know, we are supposed to be the leaders in democracy, and we have a two-fucking-party system, which is absolutely atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. Like, this isn't working. It really isn't. Like, nothing about this works well. And yet, here we all are, living in a two-party system. And it fucking sucks, and I would love it to just go away. Like, but I don't see it happening. I don't see the two-party system going away anytime, at least probably not in my lifetime. But no, it's, you know, again, like I said, I'm not the most well-versed individual when it comes to political matters. A lot of my political matters I either learn through my friends who are more versed in the political sphere, or, you know, in maybe some of the cases Papa Gut, or other YouTubers who I might watch. I do enjoy hearing both sides of the aisle, because I do believe that in order to have a government that functions more properly, there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more listening to both sides and listening to what either side wants. Jesus. I mean, I think two-party systems have just kind of happened in some cases. Like, I don't know how we ended up with a two-party system, but it seems like it just kind of happened. Because I believe if you look back through American politics, there were other parties. and other parties did kind of get the vote, but the Democrats and the Republicans have always kind of been there. Like, I don't know how this two-party system has taken such a strong hold, but here we are. What the fuck? Hello, Matt. Welcome back. Yeah, but that's just kind of where I stand, but, you know, so I don't generally jump into the conversation when it comes to politics, per se, on Reddit or Twitter and stuff like that, just because, well, like I said, it gets too toxic too quickly. In a lot of cases, I don't feel I know enough about a lot of the subjects that go on. And B, I don't have time to waste my time talking to people. Like, especially about pointless things, like, I wouldn't say pointless, but things that just, by arguing, it's not going to solve anything. At work the other day, it's like, we have a huge Trump supporter I work with, and he's a really nice guy. Like, truly he is. But he's a really huge Trump supporter. And he likes to get under the people's skin by, you know, making Trump-related jokes, or saying how the vote was stolen, kind of mocking those who voted for Hillary back in 2016, or 2015 at that point. That was 2016, because I was going into 2017. Whatever it was. But, you know, it just really becomes too much. It's like, hey, listen, like, we're at work, and also you're a supervisor. Like, I don't think it's incredibly appropriate for the workplace. Like, you know, haha, funny, you know, like, you know, I mock Trump sometimes, you know, I like to mock how he talks and stuff like that, just because the dude is very memeable. Like, he's kind of the poster child for memeing boomers. But, you know, I don't think that there are times to specifically make those accusations, especially in the workplace, and especially when you're a supervisor. But that's just my opinion. I generally keep it to myself. It's just, one day he's gonna say it in front of the wrong person, and, well, that's gonna become a very awkward situation for everyone involved, really. Like, there could be the potential someone loses their job, and, you know, it is what it is. But, alright, just because I want to see real quick, I'll continue to measure the distance. But how will this look with all the lights? The other light's not on. Are you kidding me? Let's save and come back, because I just hate how sometimes the lights will work far away, but then they won't, so... So I can't really tell, like, how this is going to work. Let's reload it. Alright, let's let that load for a second. I still need to get a thing of Pepsi going. Alright, so let's see real quick. Of course. Trains is just gonna be like that sometimes. I think it'll be fine. We should be able to see the lights, so... Yeah, I think this will be okay. Ugh. Lord only knows what she's up to, and at this point, I don't care what she's up to. Like, even Papa Gut said it. He's sick of talking about her, and I don't blame him. I'm sick of listening to her in some cases. Alright, so like, see, that light up there works, which is the same object as this light, which sometimes won't work from certain distances, which I hate, because this object is so hit or miss, and I don't know why it does it that way. It's very weird, and I don't particularly like it. Like, oh, let me... How about in a... Oh yeah, I can still see that. Oh, yeah, that's more than fine. So, and then the city, which I can't see. Okay, so we are good. That's all I needed to make sure, was that at least the lights can be seen. Because otherwise I'm wasting my time, which I already kind of am. Yep, he puts a little bit of effort into his thumbnails, which is appreciated on most days, because it gives me a good chuckle. And Mal, how was supper? What'd you end up having? What is this building? Why is this building here? What does this building do? What are you? drag this out here. This is kind of the main road that will lead through this residential neighborhood. So we're pretty much just going to be using low-density houses alongside here. So similar to, I think it's this is Rosenberg, Marienburg, which sits over here. We're going to be using a lot of houses that will look like this in a lot of cases. Could be more along the lines in terms of density as the section of Oya alongside the track and field. So we'll be using a lot of these style houses over here in Rosenberg and the Singsaka district. It's kind of like mansion-ish looking house, so I'll figure out where this can go. One thing I also need to consider here is also a cemetery, because I've been noticing there are no cemeteries. Even for an old city like this, there is no cemeteries. So I need to consider, where am I putting a cemetery? Is cremation big in Kaldvann? What is... where will these things go? I imagine there will be a cemetery of sorts, or at least a few scattered around, because, this area has been around since the 1500s. So there must be something in the way of, a cemetery of sorts. So I have to consider that. Would that be out here in this area? Would that be out here in this neighborhood in particular? Just measuring this out. That should be a Galder. A Hila. I believe. Yep, Galder. Love this one. Turn the glow for you guys. This is the music I listen to, which I'm already going to get the strike on it, so may as well just listen to it. kick me out, sir. You've been very needy today. Why don't you just lay down? No, lay down. No, you are supposed to lay down. Tobias Floyd, lay your butt down. Or not, you can just go over there, I guess. Start attempting to figure out how to tie up these loose ends in some capacity.
Säger hon upp, komma ödro sinni, görd or egi, idja karena, fadla forsar, flyger örn i fyr, gau är i au fjalli, fiska väider, alderdaga, yndis njóta.
Love that song. I wanted to say something about this song, but I think I'll pass. But yeah, attempting to kind of get the loose ends tied up. I'd like to kind of at least start connecting more roads together. If I'm able to do so, that would kind of be the goal that I'm aiming towards. This street will continue through, but this extra lane over here it will be here to the right. It'll be a 2-lane that will just kind of push through here. Alright, so there's that. Drag this over. I should probably get something like that side of the road. Connect this up. There's that. It's nice feeling the terrain dives over here. It does. There, slowly at least some roads are starting to become connected up. I have to figure out how to get this neighborhood hooked into the main road over here without fucking with this intersection too much. And these roads are going to be rather interesting to do. Like I've always kind of loved this area right here, particularly this perspective, if I can get it. Of course, need to actually go in and make the asphalt look a little better. Like I need to make it cracked and, you know, more changed up. Cool plane just flies right by. Heads into the airport. Toby. Oh, cutie. So, did I set this up to change it all, or it's not on a timer? I don't believe actually this is on the timer. Huh. I was like, oh man, I set it all up on a timer. I did not. Do I set it up on a timer? Going to need to. Toby, you're a cat. Oh no. What a cat. Actually, no, I think it's like Alt Y. Yeah, it sets you at like a walking height. Really? You need to stop meowing for attention. Stop meowing for attention. You're just a cat. Like over here, like right in the median. It's a nice view, really. The cool thing is I'll have to do this from the this perspective. No, I ruined it. Hold on. Yeah. No, didn't really matter either way. Coming over here over the water. So look. You have the rail bridge over there. You have some nice long freight traffic coming across and passenger rail. The highway, which I need to put some trees along here to kind of hide that kind of rough edge. So we're looking for Johan Carlson. We just have the this part of the city. Can't really see it over here because of the trees, but Trondheim would be back here. There's the port. You can see the big dome. Chubba chubbas. No. Got your belly. Got your belly. No. Stop being a cat that wants all this attention. Aww. What a guy. There. So let's see. So much to do. So much to do. Alright, one thing I want to do is I want to get trees planted up here, and then kind of get some smaller buildings going, and then I think I'll probably start getting ready to call it, because I am getting hungry, and I don't really want to eat on stream any more than I have in the past. A lot of birch and a couple of different-ish trees, but mostly some birches would be good right there. Might throw in a few different the STR pines. Amazing how an area can change so drastically once you start putting trees in. Also need to do some SD, I think it is. No, it's FX. There we go. Couldn't think of the word. FX. No, what are the trees? Tree. TV. Wow. Dumb. Anyways. I'm not going to do too much actual brush laying in the forest itself, just because I would like to give the illusion from the outside that there is this thick underbrush that's kind of growing up around. I don't particularly see a need to brush all the way into the forest, particularly also because I feel that would really kill my frames later on. This city is already, this project has already turned into a massive frame killer in a lot of senses, but I think that's kind of where I draw the line just a touch, is that, you know, long as I can get the idea from the edge of the forest, I'm all set. Along any like scenic right-of-ways. Yeah, particularly here, I might need to invest in putting a little bit more emphasis on the thickness of the brush. That, like, I can't really peer in. And like, if we go a little bit over here, like, I can kind of see into the woods. But along the edges, you really can't see in, and that's what I'm going for, is the optical illusion that BN grass, let me see. Yeah, I might use some of the BN grass as well along the edges, as it's probably not getting mowed because this is the woods. BN platform. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh. Oh, hello. What are you? Oh. I like that. Ooh, that's nice. That's not as nice. It's the thing. Okay, so we're using that now. That is definitely something we are going to use. I will figure out how to put that in exactly and where is appropriate. Go wide, because I just need a wide swath. This dark grass, that fucks. I mean, works. Probably also fucks too. Let me put in the sidewalk first. I don't really think there needs to be a sidewalk over here, but I'll put one in anyways. Oh man, you know what I forgot at this airport? A windsock. I feel like I put one in somewhere. Figure out where, so I can determine which way the wind's blowing. So the wind seems to be going that way predominantly. That is fixed to the building. The wind seems to be going this way predominantly off the coast. So now there's a windsock to kind of tell which way the wind's going at the airport. I think there's one over here as well. They all can be pointing just slightly different directions. This one's... Actually, I think that would make more sense to have it over here, not on the building. So I'll do that, and I'll put it over here.
White leaves flung, warning of slaughter. The weaver's beams wet, the sweat was blood. The spread now grey. The spear thing before, the woof of the warriors, which Valkyries fill with a red warp of Ranva's banesman. Is this web woven and walled of entrails, and heavy weighted with heads of slain? A blood bespattered, spears to tread us, iron bound the beams, the battles, arrows. Let us weave with our swords this web of victory. When men behold shields with swords brandished, let not the leader's life be taken. Valkyries award the beard of battle. Shields will be shattered, shafts will be splintered. Will the hound of hermits, the homeward spy? Start with swiftly, with steeds unsaddled, hands to battle, with brandished swords.
I'll put houses in here. I just want to get the forest in, and then I'll kind of go through and delete it as I go. Also, at some point, I need to come through and lay down different textures for the grass area, as it all wouldn't just be one blank texture. And also, I could probably drag the trees a little closer to the fence like that. I'll need some sort of sound kind of buffer between the rest of the town and the airport, so... Yeah, I kind of do that on the Carabasset some. I don't know if I've done it at all over here yet. And this is a playing field, so I've kind of given it some different textures to kind of denote that the grass is different here. Well, that will probably get changed at some point. I don't know if I've done it yet. I don't think I have, which is very odd for me. Yeah, I did over here in Hasvik. Oh yeah, kind of did over here. Although the terrain is very different over here. Particularly in the city, where a lot of the population is, they planted a lot more trees. They kind of keep the winds from blowing so harshly in town. So they planted a lot more trees in these areas than they did elsewhere. In a lot of the smaller towns, they didn't plant a lot of trees, so there's a lot of sparse tree population in areas along the main island. And as you get closer to towns, you'll start to notice the forest gets denser and denser. But I did kind of over here is put down some different textures to denote that the soil is very true to how it's always been, littered with large rocks from the eruptions and stuff. You know, because a lot of this is all just lava plain. So there's a lot of large boulders that are here, and you know, it could also be from other things too. You know, deposits from the glaciers and stuff like that. But large boulders here from here on the lava plains is not very uncommon. And it'd mostly just be some very loose, tall, dried grass as well, kind of throughout here, but we're doing along in the main island. But over in the city, like I said, they planted a lot more trees, so it's not going to be uncommon to see things like this in town, or maybe just scattered about, that there are just some clusters of trees growing up, particularly around rocks, which would give something for the trees to anchor onto and grow. You know, and in town they'd have obviously planted more, because in town they would anchor the trees down until they get tall enough, and then they would grow. So generally the towns are more populated with trees than they are out elsewhere. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a different assortment of textures, and especially here at the airport and close to the runway, the grass texture would be a little different. Because the airport is very, polluted. I feel like we could use an Aldi over here somewhere for... These are... Weird water tower. Kind of thinking one of the roads would pass along through here, pop out somewhere over here, so maybe not put that there. Well, this area does need a grocery store at some point. They need it somewhere. But where is the question? That might be a problem for another time. Oh. Yeah, that might be a problem for another time. Alright, well... I think I want to do something real quick, though. controls are. B. So we're actually gonna... Alright, here we go. It's totally stupid, but... Oh, the door's open. Shit. I might close that. Everybody jump out! Train line down there. Just outside of Trondheim. Slow down, put the gear down. Making the turn soon. Back out over the coast. Oh, there's the gear. Need to fix that because there's no reason for us to be climbing. Cool seeing the mountains up off in the distance. Starting our turn in. Get laggy. Getting very laggy. That's cool. Just get a quick look. That's pretty. So laggy, Christ. Junctions. Tweak it just a little bit. Oh shit. We're not making that corner. To answer that question, yes, we were making that corner. Ah, damn. I'm gonna redo that real quick. Let me see. Always sucks because the junctions are... Let me see here. Oh. I don't know where the fuck I went. it's the old section of Kaldvann. What the fuck is that? Why is that here? Let's go here real quick. No, I don't want to play Flight Sim. We'll try that one more time. Because that was cool until we crashed. Drag it back to here. See, this is what kind of lunatic I am. Should spit me out the correct direction. There's the bridge for the A13. Very careful on here because my corners are very tight. God damn it. Derail. That's upset. You saw nothing. Something fun to do. I need to refine it better. And no, Mal, I can't play the flight sim. My flight sim won't load. Maybe we never do it again. Oh, hey, come on. So anyways, I think I'm gonna head off, get some food, so on and so forth. But I do appreciate y'all for watching, or whatever today was worth. So, I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow, but I got one more day off. So I got two. I got tomorrow and Tuesday, and then I'm back to work with my new schedule. So maybe I'll try and stream one more time before then. Maybe a Carabas stream. Maybe we'll wait and see. But anyways, like I said, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.